everybody, welcome back to Circuit Society for episode 1 of Track Days, where we focus on testing and tuning cars. Today we're baselining all the Carrera cars, so we're doing power at 47%, brakes at 54%. Most of these cars have urethane tires, none of them have magnets. First up, Porsche 935. Not necessarily my favorite out of the group. This came with the first Carrera set I ever got. But it's always run decently smooth and decently fast. And I typically keep this one out if we have friends over or something like that, or kids that want to play. I have a couple cars here that are used for that, but maybe I need to rethink this. It comes in second. Next up, the Capri Zach Speed Turbo. Okay, so this is one of the ones that does not have urethane tires on it yet, and as expected, it's an utter disaster in a handful. It's completely bonkers to drive. It steps out at every push of the throttle. In some ways, I imagine what a real Capri Zach Speed Turbo would feel like, with just tons of turbo lag and super tail happy. So lots of fun to drive, but as it sits, very slow and the last in the group. So it's going to be time pretty soon to get some Bobcat urethane tires on this guy. All right, up next is the second car that was the pack-in with my first Carrera set, the Corvette C8R. I love driving this car around my track. It is plenty powerful. It is controllable in the corners. If you lose it and the tail end steps out, it's really easy to get it back. It's one of those cars that I could just drop on the track and drive for, get lost for hours and drive and have a blast. It ends up sitting right in the middle of the pack at about at 5 with a 6.721. Boy, I am a sucker for box fender flares, and this BMW's got them. This has consistently been one of the, if not the smoothest running Carrera cars I've ever owned. And there's an old racing adage that says that smooth is fast. That 100% applies here. This thing does not get out of sorts. It puts down its power really easily. It takes corners with a plum. It is ready to rock and roll at all times. And there you go. Fastest car, 6.451. Lancia Beta Monte Carlo Turbo. If you can't tell already, I've got a thing for Group 5 cars. This thing feels like the lightest car that I own. I haven't weighed any of these things, but this feels super light. It feels nimble on its toes. It feels like it's going to fly around the corner at any second. It drives totally different to every other Group 5 car, and absolutely has the potential to be maybe the fastest car that I own with a little bit of tweaking. It comes in at third, but if you'll notice right here, fastest second sector on this track by a large margin. And here's the first of many Audis to come on this channel. You're going to start to notice a theme pretty soon. The R8 LMS GT. Love driving this car. This car feels a lot like the Corvette C8R. And if I had to guess, I bet you this thing is about the same wheelbase, about the same wheel size, about the same stance and setup. It feels very similar to drive. I do love driving it. I love the way it looks. I'm a huge Audi nerd in real life, and I'm excited to keep tuning this. This one's probably a candidate for a new motor. Here we go, second Audi, the RS5 DTM. This is my only DTM car, but I love the way this thing drives. You know, a lot of slot car folks with home tracks like to build an IROC style setup where they have 4 cars of similar type or of similar tuning to all be competitive and race against each other. This one's number 1 on my list for an IROC car. There's 4 or 5 RS5 liveries that I really love, and I think having 4 of these set up this way for IROC racing would be really cool. Comes in at number 6 with a 6.752. And last but certainly not least, the Porsche 935 K3 Apple car. Did a video on this last week. This car also does not yet have urethane tires, so it's a complete handful. That said, the way that this motor delivers power, the way the chassis is set up, as big as these rear tires are, I think this weekend when I get some Bobcat urethanes on this car, it's going to jump up to number 1 in the leaderboard. Right now, not doing so great. It's sitting at about number 7. But I think as we continue with track days and test days, we're going to be able to get this thing to the top of the charts. It's pulling a 7.439 on the track as it stands. After the first track day, the field is really, really tight. The top 6 cars with urethane tires are separated by no more than 0.3 of a second. Stay tuned for the next episode where we add urethane tires to the last 2 and throw the Scalextric cars into the mix. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Circuit Society.